Well, hi, everyone. Good afternoon and welcome. Welcome to LIBOR's Wednesday webinar. I think this is our 73rd webinar since we're working remotely, and many of you have been with us. It's a service that LIBOR is providing to its members, and you will not be disappointed today. So I'll let you settle in. Today is Trends Day Wednesday, and we have a unique topic and some unique speakers with us as well. So we'll let you settle in, and thank you for joining us again. And as you know, this will be recorded, and this is on LIBOR's website, which is lirealtor.com/ or I think it's dash, I'll put it in the chat for you later, Wednesday webinars. And you can see all of the webinars that we've conducted since we've been remote, and you can go back and catch anything that you may have missed. I'll let you settle in again, and I'll start by introducing our speaker, who is a very dear friend and an acquaintance that I've known for a long time. Her name is Amy Charoux. Let me tell you a little bit about Amy. Amy is a learning technology trend expert, author, speaker, trainer, social media maven, and realtor. She is an expert on bringing pro-tech products to the real estate industry, as well as creating learning platforms to increase your bottom line. Her knowledge of the latest technologies available, along with her unique ability to translate it all into easy to understand language, makes her training projects deliver strong bottom line results. So Amy is here. Welcome. Thank you for being with us, Amy.
Thanks, Marianne. It's really great to be here with all of you on Long Island. I am excited to talk to you today about an emerging topic that you need to know about and be knowledgeable about, because you may have clients who are interested. With me today are two of the members of a group that I belong to called the Proppy Alliance. I have Steve Bintz and Pete Weindorfer with me today, and we're all going to co-present. So why don't we start? Steve, you want to introduce yourself, and then we'll go to Pete, and then we'll kick this off.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, everybody. Thanks for having us and spending some time with us today. My name is Steve Bintz. I am just down the road from you over in Rochester, New York. I'm a realtor there and have been for the last coming up on 9 years. So I own and operate a brokerage here. And I also consult with property technology companies across the US and across the globe on growth strategies, integrating new technologies, and growing their brokerage segment, in addition to just having a passion for all things real estate. And this is a really interesting topic that I think you've probably heard about a lot. And so excited to give you some additional insight and some happy hour topics to discuss together. Pete, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Awesome, thanks, Steve. Hey everyone, my name is Pete Weindorfer. I am a realtor not too close. I'm over in the Bay Area of California. I've also been in the space, the crypto space, for about a decade now. Started as an undergrad in Carnegie Mellon, started the Carnegie Mellon Bitcoin Club, and I've worked on dozens of projects in the space since. And love the intersection that we have here of real estate and cryptocurrency. I think it's one of the biggest things, one of the biggest applications that will come out of this. So I'm really excited to see what happens with it and to talk to you all today about it.
Pete, you're such a nerd. I didn't realize that you started that club at Carnegie Mellon. Wow, that's awesome. That's really cool. We are ready to rock and roll, and we're going to be handing the information back and forth because we all have our specialties. Steve, do you want to kick off the session like you normally do? And I'll just join in when I'm ready.
Yeah, so just some background on who we are and why we're here. So we're all part of a crypto real estate alliance, where our goal is really to provide education as well as opportunities in the crypto and blockchain space. So one of our goals is to facilitate the distribution of the Pro token, which we'll talk to you more specifically about in a little bit. And then at the end of our time together, you'll have the opportunity to capitalize on crypto simply because you hold a real estate license. There's no cost to it, and it's a great way to dip your foot in or diversify and get more specific about the use case of crypto. So we're really excited to offer that to you. What we do want to encourage are comments and questions and input along the way. So there will be some interaction asked for, but if you have questions or things that you've always been curious about, definitely ask them. And either we'll jump into the chat and answer them for you, or we'll bring them up as a broader topic when it's applicable or at the end. So we definitely want this to be an exchange of information, and we all have our different experiences and thoughts. So this is a great time to really collaborate and make this an engaging session. So let's jump in. And Amy, you just want to talk us through a little bit of an agenda for the day?
Sure. And while we're doing that, if you can find the Q&A and let us know if you own any cryptocurrency now, or if you've been doing anything in the crypto world, that would be great. If you could just put that in there so we can kind of get a feel. If you haven't, we're going to give you a great foundation today and how it impacts real estate. So our agenda, we are going to talk about the definition of crypto. Think about it. Crypto has become a blanket term as popularity on this topic has risen. So we're here to give you a handle on the basics as it relates to real estate. We're going to talk about something called blockchain. What is that and how does it impact real estate? What are some of the applications in real estate where we're seeing crypto and blockchain impacting real estate transactions and the real estate industry? And then we're going to share with you what Steve mentioned, which is the pro token. There's lots of tokens out there, lots of cryptocurrency. This is a real estate only. You have to have a real estate license to be able to get it. And we're going to give you free crypto today. And the good thing is you don't have to open any kind of crazy tools to access it. We're going to give you a frictionless experience, and it might intrigue you to own some crypto so you'll watch the market, how it impacts real estate just a little bit. And we have some great comments already in the chat box. We have people who are saying that have nothing at this point, and we have someone who's actually mining Bitcoin, which is really cool. So Steve, back to you.
Awesome. So let's jump into what cryptocurrency is and talk about a few examples of it that you have probably heard of. We have one person here who's going to be very familiar with the Bitcoin specific topic, which is really cool. I think it's the first time we've had a Bitcoin miner in the group, which is really awesome. So cryptocurrency just broadly is a decentralized digital currency designed to be used over the internet. And that may seem like a lot of buzzwords or like kind of abstract. And probably the best known example of this that's most often in the news is Bitcoin, which was launched in 2008 and was the first cryptocurrency and is largely the biggest and most influential and most well-known from everybody. In the decade since then, Bitcoin and others, things like Ethereum, have grown as digital alternatives to money that was typically issued by governments. So you think about digital currency in crypto, the sort of flip side to that is paper currency, that we still transact with, at the grocery store today. And cryptocurrencies are usually not issued nor controlled by any government or other central authority. So in that definition on your screen where you see decentralized, that's what that means, meaning there's no one entity or one particular person that controls this. So unlike a bank's ledger, a crypto blockchain is distributed across participants of the digital currency's entire network. So there's a ton of computers constantly calculating different things and contributing to this network. And it's a secure platform because all of these transactions are able to be vetted by a technology called blockchain. So you can sort of see how all of this connects together and some of the use cases. I think that the secure part is one of the most interesting applications, particularly with real estate. given the amount of fraud that we all have experienced or have heard about, in all of our experience. So Amy, over to you to dive into crypto a little bit further.
Okay, great. So on the screen, you're seeing a couple of terms, cryptocurrency, money 2.0, and I'll dive into the 1, 2, 3 in a minute. The internet, as we know it today, has allowed peer-to-peer information sharing without middlemen or central authority forever. This is the decentralization of information. This has always been a process that's been available to us. Think about sharing a file or a song. You email someone a copy of something, you send a link to something, you have just done peer-to-peer sharing. That's great with information like songs or files, but what about how to exchange money? So cryptocurrency is the first alternative to the meaningful alternative to the traditional banking system. The only way to exchange money today, before the whole cryptocurrency movement, was through intermediaries, especially in our industry, whether it's digital or physical, banks, but we have a lot of digital transaction platforms to help us with our transactions. But the $1 million question was, how do we extend this decentralization, peer-to-peer sharing of value with money? In other words, how do we create a digital currency that allows peer-to-peer transactions for items of value more than a song or a file? The answer came up in 2008 with the birth of Bitcoin, the first cryptocurrency. The creator, Satoshi Nakamoto, I always butcher his name, published a white paper back in 2008. Remember 2008, how crazy our market was? Well, this is when it got born. And his paper was called Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. It was a very descriptive title, but he explained Bitcoin, which was the first cryptocurrency, and how it works. He actually carved the path for a cryptocurrency ecosystem and a new way to share peer-to-peer value. So bottom line is, we now are seeing real estate transactions happen without the middleman. And we'll explain to you what that means in a minute. So Bitcoin was the first cryptocurrency launched in 2009, and it's still very influential. Ethereum is a blockchain, and Ether, it's another cryptocurrency, we call it Ether or Ethereum, is a blockchain, and that is a crypto that's being used mostly for real estate transactions. And we'll explain why in just a minute as well. And then the only other term you have to know here is crypto makes it possible to transfer value online without the need for a middleman like a bank or payment processor. And this can happen 24/7 globally for nearly no fees. Steve, anything else before I move on?
No, I think that covers it.
Okay.
All right, so let's dive into blockchain here. So the original blockchain is the decentralized ledger behind the digital currency Bitcoin. And so the ledger consists of these linked batches of transactions. That's the blocks piece of blockchain. And an identical copy is stored on each of the thousands of computers of the network, right? And so this is the network that we were talking about a couple of slides ago. The fact that there are copies of these transactions stored across multiple different places does a few things for us, and we'll talk a little bit about what those are. So if you think about a cryptocurrency blockchain in a similar way to a bank's balance sheet, that's a good analogy to make, just to kind of understand it. But if you'll remember, the difference between a bank and crypto is that a bank is really controlled centrally, where this particular ledger or balance sheet is not controlled centrally, is instead stored across thousands of different computers. And so that's really the point of the second aspect here. So due to the cryptographic nature of these networks, and cryptographic meaning coded and really only able to be interpreted or read or understood by those that are meant to understand and sort of have the right tools available. Payments are more secure than a standard debit or credit card transaction or even cash. Because when making a Bitcoin payment, you don't need to provide any sensitive information. So when you think about going online and putting in your credit card and saving that on somebody's network, and then it gets hacked and your information is then distributed, that does not happen with cryptocurrency transactions. So that means there's almost zero risk of your financial or other personal sensitive information being compromised or identities being stolen. And so that's a really powerful aspect of this from preventing fraud. And blockchain transactions are also immutable, transferable, portable. There's some transparency, there's irreversibility, there's security around them. So there are tons of benefits to these. And with each of those words, you can probably make your own inferences from things that you've been involved in, of like, oh man, we have to sort of trace this money in my client's account to qualify for a loan, right? We've all been involved in trying to explain why that needs to happen. And the security aspect, I think, is the other really important piece here. And it also means that because these are stored in so many different places, accuracy can be verified by a huge amount of computing power. So there really isn't the clerical error, that can happen with somebody, punching in a transaction, on a banking system and putting an extra zero on there. I just had that happen at a store and got charged $3,700 instead of $370, and so that was a problem. And it would have been far easier involving cryptocurrency and the blockchain, as opposed to credit card processors and all the middlemen and having to call and dispute it and all of that. It was kind of a mess. So there's tons of benefits of blockchain becoming more mainstream here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to sort of compare typical currency that we're used to, also called fiat, with the differences between that and crypto. So Amy will talk through that a bit. Amy, anything to add on the blockchain topic?
Just to remind you, the terms we're giving you: cryptocurrency. Bitcoin was the first crypto established. Ethereum, and there's many cryptos out there, many, but the Ethereum cryptocurrency and its blockchain is where most of the real estate transactions is happening. So just kind of keep that in mind. And I'm going to share with you the difference between crypto and fiat. And even though Pete is just looking so handsome there, he's going to talk to us about a really cool topic. So wait for Pete. We know he's just being patient, but he's an expert on NFTs, and I'm sure you've heard about those non-fungible tokens. And as Steve said before, we're going to give you cocktail hour, whether you're Zooming him or you're back in person. We're going to give you content that everyone's going to want to talk to you. Remember, as real estate agents, we always like to have new information to share with people to know that we are the experts. So we'll give you some great talking points so you can have a new topic to talk about with real estate. Cryptocurrency. So crypto versus fiat. A good way to understand is to go through the differences between fiat and crypto. And fiat is like the dollar, the euro, or the pound. So first of all, they're both currencies, which means they share some of the same attributes. They're both mediums of exchange that can be used to store and transfer value, as well as to purchase stuff, even houses. Both are legal. They can both be used for trading or investment. Both rely on widespread consumer trust to function as a means of exchange. So they both have their value governed by economic factors such as supply and demand, all of that. Here's the critical differences. This is where the revolutionary power of crypto lies. So by cutting out the middleman and disrupting the traditional financing system, crypto advocates decentralization and individual empowerment. So control. And of course, all of our fiat is under the control of banking and central authorities. Crypto is also the fuel for an entire new system in which you have more power. You can be your own bank, right? Being the only one in control of your digital assets. No central authority involved, no third bank, no third party to be forced to trust. It is global. And we are seeing with in the real estate industry, we're seeing more impact on international transactions than in the States. It's starting to happen more in the States. But what's beautiful is it's borderless. So we can have transactions happening all around the world. With fiat, of course, it's local, country specific. You have to convert your money and pay exchange ranges for worldwide transactions. That may or may not impact you, but it's important to know. And last but not least, peer-to-peer. Crypto is no bank needed. Transactions automatically checked on the blockchain and done 24/7. But of course, with cash and your bank account, a third party is always needed to check your transactions. And we know that we have these intermediaries in our transactions. They are many, and many of them take a cut, a financial reward as being part of a real estate transaction. We know that, and we know that not all real estate will be done on the blockchain or with cryptocurrency. But here's something to remember. The whole blockchain opportunity, houses do not have to, they don't have to buy houses with crypto to have their transactions actually stored on the blockchain. Can you confirm that? Did I say that right, Steve and Pete? I want to make sure I'm not saying something out of school here.
Yep, that is correct by me.
Okay, so let's just, I'm going to give it back to Steve. We're going to go back and forth. So what are the applications in real estate? And I'm sure you're having lots of questions because we get them when we do these presentations, and we can voice some of them for you, like, how will is this really secure? You know, how will the banks or attorneys or transaction managers or anybody else involved who's getting a piece of the pie actually let us do this? We know the questions are going through your head, so write them down and maybe we can address some of those. So right now in real estate, money transfers are slow and painful, and we've gotten used to it, and it's gotten a little bit better with our digital platforms. But what cryptocurrency and blockchain can do is this solution. Steve, I'll let you answer that.
Yeah, totally. So if you imagine what transfers are like now, which is that you have to go to the bank and get a bank check and bring that to closing, and it's a pretty arduous process, and you can only do it between 9 and 5, and not on the weekends. Or you got to do a wire, and wires are relatively expensive for what they are, and aren't always so fast, and are subject to wire fraud. They can go to the wrong places, and you can't get them back. That's a problem. Cryptocurrency and tokens to unlock certain aspects of smart contracts or different pieces of the transaction make those money transfers a lot easier to do. It's a 24/7 network. You think about trading stocks versus trading crypto. Stocks happen during a certain part of the day and the week, and crypto happens 24/7, which is both exciting, nerve-wracking, and lots of other emotions all at once. So it's a much more widespread network and able to be accessed at any time, therefore opening up the possibility of those transactions occurring at a time that is more convenient, and able to happen a lot faster, and with less hassle to the consumer. So there's a tremendous amount of benefit there.
The person who's helping sponsor this today is a company called Propy, Propy. We're going to finish the applications. We're going to talk to you about NFTs, and we're going to talk to you about those tokens we talked about, the free cryptocurrency. They're being sponsored by an online platform that allows you to do real estate transactions on the blockchain, whether people are buying with crypto or not. And I just wanted to make sure that you knew we're on a board for them, and that's why we're trying to get the word out. Number two, I think we already covered this, Steve, the idea that we've all had the angst and the anxiety with fraud for wires and deed recording.
Yeah, so we already talked about wire fraud and things going to the wrong place, but there's also the deed recording aspect. There is fraud within the deed aspect too that affects title and title insurance claims. and therefore makes the transaction more expensive if somebody wants to get title insurance, because that industry has a difficult time understanding if there are outstanding deeds or deeds that were not recorded at a certain point. And so the decentralized blockchain ledger allows you to verify both the ownership in terms of the deed and the funding by way of the transaction. So buyer and seller, attorney, lender, whoever is involved can see those transactions took place. So it is no longer arbitrary of, well, I sent the wire, I don't know what happened to it. It is visible on the blockchain and verifiable by whoever wants to go in and see it. It has the right information to sort of decode the cryptographic nature of that transaction.
Okay, great. And there's a couple questions in the chat, but I think what we'll do at this point, because they're pretty generic, not on the topics, we'll wait till after Pete does NFTs. Last but not least, lots of parties, vendors equal time, money, and mistakes.
Yeah, so New York being an attorney state, we know what's involved in closing a transaction and all the different moving pieces. And reality is that all of our jobs, as realtors, is to be the connective tissue between all of these different vendors, and that takes a lot of time, both for us as well as time for the consumer that just sort of goes nowhere. And yeah, it gets the transaction closed, but it can be much more efficient. It can also be less ridden with mistakes. I know I wake up almost every day to, something that went wrong because of just a clerical error, or, something that was like, oh, never seen that before, in my hundreds and hundreds of deals. That has never been a thing. Now it's a thing. And so what we're really aiming to do here is, utilize agents and realtors to provide the expertise of the transaction. And that's what we're hoping to arm you with today, is a next layer of expertise of here's what the future holds. And so these Ethereum smart contracts, which basically allow for the programming to take care of the different steps of the contract. So for example, can't record a deed without consideration exchanging hands. So a smart contract would say, has the buyer deposited the necessary funds in order to close this transaction? If yes, then we can record it on the blockchain, and we can use a token, by the way, to unlock that recording on the blockchain, like a pro token. But if the answer is no, that money exchange has not occurred, then the next step in the smart contract, recording it on the blockchain, will not be unlocked and able to happen. And so it doesn't allow for as many human interaction mistakes, and decreases the time it takes, the amount of money it takes, because there's less intermediaries that, like Amy said, have their sort of hand in the cookie jar, and less mistakes along the way, again, saving time. So those are some of the biggest benefits of blockchain, crypto, and smart contracts being involved.
Thanks, Steve. Just to let everyone know, we are going to be sending a follow-up email hopefully through LIBOR. Marianne Monteleone mentioned that she can do that. What we're going to do in there is give you instructions on how to get your free crypto, but also we'll give you a link to a white paper off of the Proppy site, which really goes into detail everything about what we're talking, but even more, and it's very easy to read. Just read a little bit at a time. I know we're all so crazy with real estate right now, but just do a little education on this every month, and you will be way ahead of most other realtors when this becomes more and more important. Before we go into the tokens and any Q&A, we're now going to talk about NFTs. And Pete, there was a question in the chat I want to share with you that maybe you can answer as you're talking. And the question was from Chrysula. Hopefully I said your name right. Comment was, BTC, ADA, Sol, and Matic owner, 95% of my sales are co-op, so utilization, implementation of crypto is difficult, perhaps impossible. And I answered, we are seeing fractional share opportunities with NFTs. That's, I just threw that out there. Maybe you could weave that in eventually after you go over the basics. Okay, what the heck is an NFT, Pete?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Amy. So all of this technology is new and the space is nascent, but you've probably heard, like Amy said, and like Steve talked about, Bitcoin's been around since 2008, 2009, and you've probably heard Bitcoin, crypto. Maybe less familiar to you is NFTs, and that's makes sense because it's only been popularized here in the past couple of years. So what is NFT? It's non-fungible token. And I like to focus on that F word, fungible, because it's kind of tricky when you define something and the word itself is not that familiar to most people. So fungible is just interchangeable, and it specifically is in regard to commodities or currencies. So if you think about things that are fungible that we're familiar with, you could think about gold. So if you have one bar of gold, one unmarked bar of gold, the same weight as another unmarked bar of gold is going to be equal in every way. It's going to be worth the same. You can use it to exchange in the same way. And the same thing with our currencies. So a dollar bill, aside from the fine print, the numbers on it, every dollar bill is the same. If someone took your dollar bill and replaced it with a different one, you probably wouldn't notice or care because it's the same thing. And that goes, the fungible concept is what Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some of the other ones we talked about are. They're more like a currency where one Bitcoin is the same as the next Bitcoin, and it represents the same value. So non-fungible tokens are unique digital assets that are stored on blockchains. They're unique in the way that a baseball card, a rare baseball card is unique, or that art is unique. And what we've seen is that they've become popularized in the past couple of years because people have started using them to represent the ownership of certain things that are unique. So the baseball card, like I mentioned, art, and then we've also seen, like Amy mentioned, that people are representing homes, a unique home with the NFT. And though it's still pretty new right now, this gives us the opportunity to do something like fractionalized ownership through an NFT. So each stake would represent a portion of the house and or the property, and you could trade that. So again, unlike Bitcoin, every single NFT is going to be unique, and it's going to represent an ownership of something rather than just value in itself. And some of the other interesting things that we've seen are digital collectibles, unreleased music, and even a professional sports contract was NFT'd. So you could buy a stake in I believe it was a NBA player's basketball contract. So, and then one of the other things, that was most interesting to us was Proppy actually held a auction for a house that was done through NFT, and it was sold in Kiev to a US buyer for 36 Ether, and that was just a month ago. So, Amy, did I cover that question, do you think? Or
Questions. There was a great question. I think, yes, you did great. And I think part of the beginning of NFTs were, a good example would be a physical piece of art. Let's say I ought to use the Mona Lisa. They will take digital squares of the Mona Lisa, and then you could buy that digital piece of an existing piece of art. This is the only copy. So now you own a piece of the actual artwork, but the digital version. So that's kind of how it started, but NFTs have exploded because listen, the world's different. We have generations now who live in a virtual world. There are people buying houses and buying content that is virtual content. It's a little bit of a hard concept for maybe some of the people in my world, the boomers world, but it is a very real thing for different generations. So you have to have an open mind. But here's a question for you in the chat. I've been seeing a lot of people buying NFTs of memes and JPEGs. What is the value of purchasing something like this? I understand it's a unique asset, but is it something widely available and replicable? How does ownership matter? Why does it matter? And Steve, when you get it, I think you answered it. Someone asked what token. Okay, got it. You'll do that when we get into that. Okay. Go ahead, Pete. That was a long question.
Yeah, well, so I mean, I think everyone, places value in the way that they do. So when you're asking about the JPEGs, the memes, it depends. I've seen some that come with actual, the rights to that JPEG, and there's others that don't. And to me, that is a little murkier of how does that, what does the ownership confer if it doesn't confer the rights? And so a lot of this stuff, you know, in the early stages, just like with ICOs, if some of you might remember from 2017, ICOs were the big thing, and some of those turned out to be really good, and some of those didn't really have the concept behind it to make it work. And you know, that's kind of what you'd expect. Everyone's going to try something with a new technology, and some will make more sense than others. And I think the application itself and the medium that we're using in NFTs is very exciting and has huge potential. And then some of these things, you know, you'll have to figure out what value you would place on something, you know, like that. So
Might be more valuable.
Yeah. Yeah, Pete, I think it's a great, like, very comprehensive answer. And I think, you know, said another way, why does it matter? The answer is it depends. You know, what's valuable to one person is kind of like, I don't get it. You know, like I don't understand why, you know, people might want a sports car, or why somebody would want an autographed, you know, baseball bat. And that's kind of this new world that we're seeing here, is like, why does somebody care about that? And that's what's kind of interesting, where some of it is obvious, like an NFT for a property, that makes a lot of sense. Like, we can wrap our heads around that. An NFT, you know, like this question for a meme is like, that's really interesting. And maybe we're the ones that don't get it, and there's something we're missing. But I think that's the really interesting piece of this, is like, everybody is trying to figure out this new concept, its applicability, why it's so interesting to certain people. And so the answer is it depends. We just don't know.
That's a really good explanation. You know, for me, I like to collect art. And so the fact that I could buy an NFT of a famous piece of art that I've always adored, it means a lot to me, but it probably won't mean anything to anyone else. But I'm going to be able to give that to my kids as part of my legacy. So moving on. So exciting, because all three of us are part of the Proppy, which is the online platform where you can do smart contracts on the blockchain, whether the house is sold with crypto or not. They've made a decision to create their own cryptocurrency. It's the first real estate cryptocurrencies. You know, you mentioned, I'm sure you've all heard about Dogecoin, which Elon Musk made go high and go low. That is just a cryptocurrency based on something very unique and crazy and silly. This is a cryptocurrency based on real estate, and it's designed to unlock smart contracts, pay the registry fees to record modifications on the blockchain. Only those with real estate license can get it. Because you're here today, we have been authorized to give you all 1,000 tokens. It's worth 27 cents today. What happens when it goes up to 50 cents or $1? I mean, this could grow for you. So today we're giving you $27. Whoop, whoop, that's pretty good. You came to a webinar and you got $27 of tokens. All we ask you to do is to open a Proppy account, and it is an app that you can download right on your phone, or you can go online and do it. You don't give any information away. It doesn't cost anything. And if you agree to receive some education on cryptocurrency, which you've done today, any communication with you all will be done through LIBOR, of course. But if you do get a Proppy account, you'll see there's some education on our website. Now, how do you get that done? We do have some slides about Proppy, but I'm going to go right to how to do the token. And then if you want, Steve, I'll go back. Is that okay? And then I'll go back to that slide, because I know you want to do that one before we wrap up, or if Pete wants to do it. So how do you receive Pro tokens? There is a QR code on the screen. If you know how to, just open the phone app, the camera app on your phone, and you can take a picture of that QR code, and it will bring you to the site proppy.com/tokens. If someone can put that in the Q&A, that might be good. All you have to do is fill out a simple form, and you will get these tokens. The tokens will be put in your Proppy account. those of you who are new to crypto, you might have heard things like you need to open a cryptocurrency wallet and all these things. And eventually, if you do invest in crypto, you will want to get your own cryptocurrency wallet. At this point, your crypto will be housed on the Propy app. So you don't have to do anything other than go download and open a Propy account. And the 1,000 tokens will come into your system. So what it looks like is you'll take the photo of the QR code, or you'll do the link that we put in the chat box. You'll click on the wording on the top of your screen, open it in your browser, and then you'll fill out this form. And I believe once you fill out the form, it'll get back to you and give you a link to open a Propy account, or just go to your app store and find it and download it. If I look at my Propy app right now, what I see is I can see all of my Pro tokens right in my Propy app. So I don't have to worry about a wallet or anything like that. It's right in my Propy account, and I can see it right in my account. So you guys, that's what you will do. So hopefully you will take advantage of getting some free cryptocurrency. To wrap us up, I thought it might be good for, I don't know, whoever wants to take it. I just have 1 or 2 slides more and then we'll be done. Maybe you want to just talk about the Propy platform real quick, whoever wants to do it.
Yeah, happy to take that. So Propy is a really interesting, diverse platform that pretty much you can handle all the way from listing a property all the way through closing it and recording it on the blockchain on the platform, depending on different aspects. So it's very modular. You can sort of bolt on different pieces of the platform depending on what you want to do or accomplish, or where you need the most help in the process. But really great platform. So I encourage you to just go on and see a little bit more about it, so you understand some of the use cases of how all of this actually functions in the real world, and that really is the benefit. There's also some great white papers and other pieces of education on there that you can grab. So one question came in and said, what's the name of the token needed to complete the transaction? And so the answer to that really depends on how the transaction is set up to work. So meaning that a seller could say, well, I'm only accepting payments in Bitcoin. And so you either have to convert a currency a cryptocurrency that you have, or if you already have Bitcoin, you can then transact on that. And so like pizza on the NFT, right? That was done using a specific cryptocurrency. So if you think about it, it's just like in the fiat world of you can't transact on a house in the United States with loonies and toonies from Canada, right? So if you think of it that way, that's kind of the same concept, that you have to pay in the same cryptocurrency that the seller is ultimately willing to accept. But then also, in order to record it on the blockchain, and this is where the Pro token comes in, there are recording fees, and there is unlocking that part of the smart contract to be able to happen. So the Pro token, the actual functional use of it, is to pay for those recording fees and the modifications that are happening on the blockchain. So the name of the token depends on what aspect of the transaction you're looking to complete, and there may be other tokens in the future that unlock different pieces of the transaction or different functions. Amy, if you just want to go to the before and after concepts here. So if you look at like a go ahead.
I've been asked to put the QR code up, so I will quickly, I have it up now. I'll go back to your 2 slides, Steve, and then we'll put that up at the end. But we only have about 5 more minutes of information, so we have plenty of time to bring that up. And Pete did put the link in the Q&A if you want to go in there and find it. There you go.
So if you look at a transaction before Propy is involved here, you see what looks like a typical transaction, really, if you look at it. And if you look at all of the exclamation points in red, those are areas where there can be errors, there's risk of fraud, or there's simply these arduous requirements that are somewhat unnecessary, although necessary in the current environment of transactions. But then if you take a look at this and then look at after Proppy is involved to simplify things, you see how much easier that transaction gets and why there's less intermediaries and less chances for fraud and less hassle, less errors, and way more certainty for everybody involved. So everything has been verified, it is immutable, you can have access to it to see exactly what happened. And there are far less humans involved for mistakes. And the great piece of this is that the realtor is still at the center of the transaction, serving as an advisor, being the connective tissue and connecting the dots here for how do I go about this transaction. So as transactions evolve, we are still the experts in the space, providing a higher level of service that people who don't transact on real estate every day would have no idea how to do. And so we're trying to make the transaction simpler, more efficient, more cost effective, and still have us serve in the center as the experts of how to get it done.
And as Steve mentioned with the tokens, if you have Proppy tokens, you can transact on the Proppy and the blockchain by using your tokens that we gave you today. Now, we may be far off in some of your minds from this, but why we feel compelled, Pete, Steve, myself, is that we've seen other trends take over our real estate lives, and we believe in our bones this is going to happen. Think about how social media was nothing in 2004. Look at it today. Look at the Zillow conundrum, right? What happened there? This is just a whole nother concept that's impacting everything. And in the media, you're going to hear a lot of negative. So we are a source of truth. You can hear how it's really impacting if you go to the Proppy website and read their white paper. And we're always posting on social media about what's really going on, because there's a lot happening right now. So we're so excited that you let us be in your houses with you today. We're passionate about this. Steve, thank you. Steve, thank you, Pete. And we wanted to know if there's any other questions before we let you go. And take advantage of this. Get free crypto. Come on. Any questions, comments before?
So, Amy, a couple questions coming in. Pete, feel free to jump in on any of these.
Go ahead, Steve.
Do you purchase tokens, and how is the first question?
Yeah.
Yeah, so for today, you don't have to purchase these tokens. You can get these for free. And so that's a great first step. When you are, before saying anything else, like, you should consult a financial advisor or whatever else the case is. We're not financial advisors. But, if I were to purchase cryptocurrency, I would go through an exchange, and I would use something that was like Coinbase or Binance. There's a lot of exchanges that have been around for 5+ years now that have kind of stood the test of time, and you can feel comfortable with them. But also, research your exchanges, and so that's how you go about it.
Awesome. Next question is, I created my profile and converted it to an agent's profile. When can I expect the tokens? So there is a verification process that we do on our end, since these are only open to licensees. So part of our responsibility is to verify that each of the tokens is claimed by a licensee. So that's one of the main tenets of all of this. So typically a few days on that. But just give us some time to get through the verifications. This is one of the many events that we do sort of simultaneously. So sometimes it can take some additional time. But if you don't see them after a little bit, then definitely let us know.
Steve, I've answered everything but the last two.
Okay.
The question about the DOS, Jennifer Tucker, is the DOS on board with these types of transactions, considering that IRS is not defined if crypto is an asset or a currency?
Yeah, so good question there. What I would say is kind of the same, disclaimer that Pete gave a little bit ago. So whether the DOS is on board or not on board, I don't fully know. What I will say is that as these become more mainstream, our goal is to provide you with education on them and allow you to go out and ask these types of questions in a more informed way about the potential uses, pitfalls, how all of this is unfolding. And the question about whether the IRS has identified them as an asset or a currency, again, we are not tax folks in any way. So I don't know, and Amy and Pete, I don't know if you do of any developments on that side of things. But I would just encourage everybody to keep an eye on things as they unfold. Again, this is very leading edge of real estate and transactions. So our goal is to tell you, here's what we think the future holds, not necessarily go do a crypto transaction tomorrow.
Right. As far as holding, I actually just talked to my my accountant. Holding crypto, there's no tax liability or implications. So whether it's an asset or a currency at this point, that's a moot point from that perspective. It's when you actually transact with it. We're watching the US government trying to create their own digital currency. And we know how effective things that happen in that world. And I said that with tongue in cheek. So just keep on watching that. And the real estate industry, we're putting some people in place that will help us. And we're trying to even impact some of the lobbyists to see how that happens, but more to come with that. I can't speak any more on it than that. There was a question, how does property make money? And then I think that's our last question.
Yeah, so there's a two-prong approach. I mean, again, none of us are directly involved with any other piece of the company other than helping with the education and distribution of these pro tokens. But if you go on the website, there are other products that are targeted at the agent and brokerage world on a subscription basis. So there are those. And so this crypto side is sort of a separate endeavor that is really leading edge that the company is pushing forward in the industry. We have been asked to be shepherds of that and educating along the way. Obviously there's a long ways to go for the industry to really adopt this on a widespread basis. But with each of these that we do, we're seeing just a ton of excitement right out of the gate.
There are companies, enterprise level companies and smaller companies who use this platform for all their transactions. So they're just like you would have like a .loop or a DocuSign or some kind of platform for your transactions. Companies actually pay Proppy for that. As Steve said, we're just dealing at the Alliance with the tokens, the tokenization, the first real estate token, and we're distributing that. And we are awarded with tokens. So we love that. Last but not least, new to crypto, if someone owns one type of crypto and needs another for a transaction, how easy, difficult is it to change the crypto?
Yeah, I'll take that one. So for the most part, it's pretty easy. It depends which crypto. So if you wanted to exchange a Bitcoin for Ethereum, there's pretty simple ways to do it, and there's more complicated ways to do it that are cheaper sometimes. Sometimes if you're trying to get a token that's more rare, like something that you would have heard of less and that maybe isn't on the major exchanges, that might be a little harder. So you would have to go to certain exchanges that would list more. So, I know Coinbase, I mentioned before, at this time last year, I think they only had about 15 or 20 cryptocurrencies and tokens, but right. And now
all the time, them all the time. So yeah, I think that's a good choice. Coinbase, it's pretty secure, right? It has a ton, so you can just convert there. A couple more questions because we're running out of time. Really quick, yes or no? Do we have an Android and iOS app, guys? I know we have an iOS, we have Apple. Do we have Android?
Yes, there is an Android app.
Last but not least, for Pete, can we mine these tokens?
So these are not mineable. released all the supply at the ICO point, and these tokens that we're distributing now were actually held back in reserves for community development and for developers. But there is no mining system. This works on Ethereum. This is an ERC20 token. So if you mine Ethereum, you're contributing to this network, but there's no all ERC, that's getting in the weeds, but all Ethereum based tokens, you don't mine them directly, you mine Ethereum, and that helps secure this token as well.
Thanks, Pete. I didn't know that, so I'm glad. A couple more questions. I think we still have a couple minutes. Part of the sign up process asks for my ID, driver's license. Is that required, or did I go too far? I think we have to say that you are a real estate agent. So I think we usually look for your real estate license, not your driver's license. Did I get that correct?
Yeah, that's right, Amy. We just need and it's just your
Real estate license.
real estate ID number. Yeah.
Yeah, real estate ID. Charlie, if you have any questions, I will put an email address so we can follow up with you. And is Propy built on the ETH network, on the Ethereum network?
Yes. Pete answered that without even knowing it was a question. So there you go. Name of the Android app, I believe it's just under Propy. Quick Google search. There may be a link on the website, not sure, but quick Google search should do that for you.
I love these questions, guys. You are making us so happy. Yeah.
How does
the apps are in the email that I send out too, Steve?
Yeah. Okay. Good idea. How does commission get converted to dollars and fees? Not sure I quite understand that one. If you're asking how does cryptocurrency get converted to dollars and what's the fee associated with that, that's the same exchange concept that Pete was just going into, where there are a few different ways to do it. Fees, vary based on a lot of different factors, similar to exchanging dollars to euros, just for a familiar concept. But hopefully that answers that question. Let's see. Most recent one, how does Propy rank against the competition, and is there competition? So the Pro token is the first token that is specifically for a use case in real estate and unlocks the capability to modify and record transactions on the blockchain. So there are not others that apply to that specific use case, I wouldn't say. As for how other pieces of the platform rank against the competition, I don't know, frankly. It's a question for I'm sure their sales team would be happy to give you the deep dive on that. But in that space, yeah, sure, competition, with some well-known players there. But as far as a token for this specific use case, no others that I'm aware of. Any other input from you guys?
No, that was perfect. But last question, does each cryptocurrency have its own blockchain? No. Where there's some pretty major blockchains, there's the Bitcoin, there's Ethereum, there's other blockchains, but we're pretty much focused on, when you say anything that's working on the Ethereum for real estate, or am I speaking out of school here? And there's so many different cryptocurrencies that operate on different blockchains.
Yep, I think it's an accurate characterization.
Okay. Great. Well, please take advantage and get your free Pro tokens. Be part of the beginning of how blockchain cryptocurrency will impact real estate. I would recommend doing a Google alert on crypto real estate, and you'll start seeing transactions that are happening across the world. We have other people on the Alliance who have gone through, how many has, she's done 4, I think already, she does many on a Propy platform, but she's sold 4 houses with cryptocurrency, correct? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's either 4 or 5 at this point. But.
Yeah, So people are buying houses with their crypto. Okay, we have kept you to the top of the hour. Thank you for being here with us. We will be emailing you, and you can reach out to us. I did put my email address if anyone wants to get, I'll get you in contact with the people here on the call, but look for an email from us and we'll give you the white paper and information on downloading the app and get your free crypto. Steve, Pete, anything else before we sign off?
This was such an awesome group. Great, engaging questions. You are all very thoughtful about this and sponges. So this was one of my favorite ones to do because of how engaged you were. So just thank you for your time and your attention and really engaging with us. It was a ton of fun.
Pete, take us home.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks for all the questions. Really great questions. And this space is still new. So if this is your first time hearing, an hour-long talk about crypto, it's really not too late to be one of the pioneers still. And that's the thing I like to convey to people. This is a space where you have an opportunity to become an expert in it. There's not many experts in it right now. So the more time you spend trying to get an understanding of what you can do for your business with crypto, with Proppy, we share this vision that's going to be a change in the landscape from blockchain. So, take your stake in it, and of course, grab the tokens that we're giving out today. And if you have questions for us, feel free to reach out anytime. And appreciate everyone being here.
Thanks. And Ethan, can we get the recording so we can critique ourselves? We would really.
Yes. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks to you guys for coming on. Marianne had to run, but she wanted me to say that this was a great presentation. And yeah, for everyone, we'll definitely have the recording online on alirealtor.com. I'll send you guys an email with it too, so you guys can take a look at it. And everyone in the chat, take a look for the email coming out soon. We'll get that sent out to you guys. And yeah, thank you guys again. It was a great talk, and hope to see you all soon.